Hello everyone and welcome back to Bluebeam Digital Estimating with JPC Toolsets. Today we will explore the efficient usage of JPC Toolset for estimating Division 3 concrete work, or more specifically Section 031000 for formwork, Section 032000 for reinforcement, and Section 033000 for concrete. So let's get started. As for my previous tool sets that I did for structural steel or Division 5, what you'll be getting with your tool chest is a profile specifically designed to do takeoff on concrete there. So that's going to allow you to do a more efficient and be more accurate with your takeoff there. So after that, included in the tool chest, we have the tool sets for concrete formwork. We have concrete accessories, reinforcement bars. We have again reinforcement bars, but for the metric designation on your bars. We have fabric and grid reinforcing, like your welded wire mesh needed for your slabs on grade. You have your key footings, you have your strip footings, column footings, you have your foundation walls, starting with a 4-inch wall all the way up to 24 inches. And then we have our foundation piers. We have our slabs on grade, starting with a 4-inch slab and going all the way up to 10 inches. We have our slab finishings. Then we have our grouting if we need to do, if it's part of our contract. That would be for columns, base plates. Then we have the concrete cutting of our slabs. Then we have our concrete slab vapor retarders, which we're able to take off also there. So let's get started. I like to start with column footings. So I'm going to bring up my column footing tool set. And I also like to pick a corner for where to start. So let's start with our F2's footings. So F2s, so F2s, F2s, F2s. So it's as simple as what you see to take it off. So just double click on F2s, F2s, F5, F3s, F2s, and that should be it. One thing I like to do is, hold on, so on your F2s, then let's do an what's the second one? F5, so let's do F5s. F5 right here, so I'm doing my F5s, F5s, S5s, F5, F5, F5. So you get the picture on how easy it is there. So if we look for each one of those footings, the designation is shown with the properties for each of those footings. So you don't have to go back to your footing schedule to see what size they are. So the depth is 1 foot, I mean. The width is 48 inches, 4 feet. Height is 4 feet. So we need 0.59 cubic yards of concrete for an F2 footings there. And F5, it's a 7 by 7 and 1 foot 6 in depth, which we need 2.72 cubic yards. So if I look in my markup list for my takeoff right now, our first count was for 8 footings. So what you may want to do is split that into individual count for each of those footings there. So the only thing you have to do is right click on your line and hit the split all, and then you're getting an individual count for each of your footings. So at the top, that's the summary line. So the volume, we're going to need 31.92 yards of concrete to do all of the 18 footings that we took off. This is also an area of 1,618 square feet. And here's our total. So let's keep on going. So what I like to do is, as you're moving along, you're going to see that your takeoff is going to get crowded with info there. So what I like to do is I'm going to select all of my footings. And in here, I have layers breakdown for my takeoff there. So what I like to do is I'm going to right click on my markup list and change my layers, send my items to layer 033000, which is the cast in place concrete there. So once you flip it over to your layer, you'll see it's going to disappear on your takeoff sheet there. So it gives you more room to continue with your takeoff. So let's look at, let's do strip footing. So 3 on 202. So I'm going to go with 3 on 202 right here. So the strip footing is, that's 1'4", so that's 2 feet in width by 10 inches deep. So I'm going to go to my strip footings. So it's 2 feet in width. And I'm going to start doing my takeoff there from, again, the same reference point. So this is a linear measurement I'm using. So I just need to go and click on the center line of my wall, which is basically centered with my footings there. And as you see, the count is adding automatically down in the markup list. Oh, so I'm almost done. And this is my last point. So these are all strip footings. So the way I've done it, I did it continuously over top of my column footings. But if I wanted, I could do it individually. So if I go in right now, if I look at my markup list, so we have our footing, which was on S302. Our depth was 1 foot 12 inches, and here's the total linear length of our footing there. So the wall area and also the number of formwork that you need to cover 351 square feet, which is one side of your wall. So just double that for your number of form. And then the number of concrete is right here at 701 cubic yards of concrete there. So if some of you prefer to do it separate, like stop at your column footings, that's not a problem. So what you can do is, okay, I'm going to have a small piece of, you just need to double click on your measurement. So it's one click to start your measurement, and you double click to finish it off. So it's easy as that. So you just stop at your footings. Here I see I went just a bit too far, so it's easy to go back, and what you can do is click on it, grab the note, and back it up to where you should be stopping. So that's an easy way to fix or readjust your measurements here. So it's as easy as that to do strip footings. So I'm going to be jumping a bit there because there's a lot of material to cover. So let's look at doing, give me a second, our foundations. So here, again, going back to section 31202, we have a 12-inch wall, which is just over 4 feet long. So let's go and let's bring up our tool set for foundation walls. So we said that was a 12-inch wall right here, and let's start doing our walls. So our walls, normally we'll do it in a continuous line, which we're going to be adding points at different locations. So that's all it is. So basically I'm taking the linear footage, and my tool is set up to give me a square area based on my length. And after that, there's a depth, which is preset in my tool set. So here we have our foundation wall. So let's look at our takeoff. So right here, so that should be coming from section 3 on 202. So what we want to do is we're just going to change the setting on the fly, and that was section 3 on 202. So that's our 12-inch foundation. Our wall is 5 foot deep. So say we want to change it, just select that line and say, okay, this is 4 foot 8 instead. And here's your length, 300, almost 351 linear feet. And after that, you have your cubic yards of concrete that you need to do that pour there. So that's the foundation walls. So then let's look at our piers. So basically your piers, again, you have a tool set to do piers. So I'm going to select, let's start with P1s. So I'm going to select P1, P1. So this is a count tool again. P1. P2s, so P2s, P2s. Okay, let's go to P2s. So let's do P2s. So again, it's as easy as you can imagine it. So for each pier, P2s, P2s. So let's click out and see what info we're getting. So if a P2, it's telling us that it's a depth of 4 foot 2 for our pier. The width is 1 foot 8, and the height is 1 foot 8 also. And it's going to take roughly 0.43 cubic yards of concrete. So again, since this is a count setup, if you look down here, again, you have your count. So if you want to split it up, hit split all, and then do the same thing for your P2s. Let's split it all. So now we have 15 locations. We know exactly we need 7.18 cubic yards of concrete to do that. So that's pretty easy. So let's go down to our next one, which is going to be, let's put some wire mesh on that floor there. So let's get the wire mesh. So that's going to be found concrete slabs. Okay, fabric and grid reinforcement. So this is a 666 wire mesh. So again, let's start to do our floors. So I try to keep it inside my foundation wall. So it's a polyline, or basically, yeah, it's polylines that we're using to pick up the area. And right here, and close our line, we're gonna double click. So here's our wire mesh, and again we have how many square feet that we need for that wire mesh. The measurements, the average measurements of your grid. So that was pretty quick, pretty easy. So just what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select my wire mesh, and I'm gonna send it to my reinforcing layer, concrete reinforcing. So it stayed up, it stayed highlighted. So I'm just gonna close it up. I'll go to my layer, and I'm gonna shut down my layer. So now the wire mesh is still in my markup list, but you don't see it. So let's get our tool set for our slab on grade. So we're gonna do foundation walls, concrete slab on grade. So here it's 4-inch concrete slab on grade. So It's basically the same tools, so I'm going to start laying out my slab. Point, click, 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 and double click to close the loop. And here's my slab on grade. So if we look below, it's 111 yards of concrete that we need to pour our 4-inch slab. These are all dimensions that we have. The 409, the length, that would tell you how many not expansion joint, but how many yeah, we could call it expansion joint from the foundation stuff to lay in there. So we're going to need about 409 feet. The area of your slab, so for finishings, it gives you a rough measure, not a rough, but an accurate measurements of how much it would cost for a different finish. So we have everything that we need in there. Then what I'm gonna do is I'll show you quick. I'll keep the rebar for another demo, but if I want to see exactly, let's go to our foundation wall and I'll show you how easy it is to do a rebar. So if I take my foundation, I see that I have 351 linear feet of foundation wall there. So what I like to do is I like to bring that measurement here, and we're going to say, okay, as a reference or as a note for other people looking at our estimate, I'm going to say we have linear feet equal, we said 351 linear feet. Oh, sorry there. So this is 351 linear feet of wall that we have, and the footing also. So to do this, what I like to do is, okay, let's look at our rebar and our footing. So we're using 15M. So if I go in my metric, my 15M, so what I'm gonna do, we know that we have two not two pieces, but two rows of rebar in our footings. So to do it, to take it off, I'm basically gonna do the same layout that I did with my foundation wall, but keep in mind this is rebar that we're laying out for our footings. So I go on the outside, so that's gonna, I'm gonna continue from that endpoint. So again, this is rebar for my footings, and we're done. So this is basically one line that we have. So if I want to make it two lines, what I do is I just go in my quantity column and I change my 1 to 2, which is basically my two lines there. So after that, let's do some dowels. So if we want to do the hook bars or the dowels in my foundation, again, I'm going to have to reset my scale. So with Bluebeam, you're able to go into your measurement panel, and from here, what you want to do is create a new viewport since it's a different scale. So this is a scale of 3/4 to 1. So we're going to say 3/4 to 1 and apply. And after that, well, to do those hook bars, it's pretty easy. So we're going to say those dowels right here to match verticals. So right now I don't see the size on this drawing, but we're going to assume that they're 15Ms also. So once I have my 15M, I'm just going to lay out my bar. So this is the interior bar. This is the outside bar. So we know that these are at 12 inches on center and we have 351 linear feet. So to change those two rebars again, I'm just going to tell it we need 351 pieces and 351 of the exterior one. So that's all it is for rebar. And again, for my rebar and my vertical walls, I would do the same thing as what I did in the footing. I would lay out one rebar and after that change your quantity. So I hope this demo is beneficial to you guys and will assist you on creating a more accurate takeoff and more efficient way of doing it instead of doing it by hand there. So if you do have questions for those interested in learning more or seeking additional information, please feel free to refer to our newly created website at www.jpctoolset.com or reach out via email at johnp@jpctoolset.com. Thank you again, and we'll be talking to you guys on our next video. Thank you. Bye.